succession, the quest for power, privilege, prestige, heroism, arguing a case, making a position, taking a stance. I have said that you can best diagnose any individual uh, based upon the circumstances of the conditions in which he or she has come out of. Biologically, what was the circumstances of the conditions of the environment that a woman is giving birth to a child? What is her mental condition? What is her relationship with herself and her relationship with the one who has impregnated the woman? What is the conditions of the environment which she's living in, and the health of her totality inwardly, uh, as well as, once again, emotionally, and the influence that the society, surrounding circumstances, and the environment in which she lives may have an impact. The position of circumstance and the position of consequence. Circumstances makes us other than ourselves. It almost feels as though that it is something that you are succumbing to, almost like an impulse, something that you have been subjected to on a continuing basis. Yes, and that could be heavily influenced by, you could be heavily influenced by the standards that are set by others. So it is standards that someone else set. For example, people use terms good and evil and right or wrong. These are circumstances. These are standards that someone else has set. Yes. But the consequences, we argue from a position of consequences, because we all have to deal with the consequences of our actions. So it is behavior. But that which precedes behavior have something to do with environment. It has something to do with your attitude and what has great influence over you. You know, when someone takes certain intoxicants, it influenced them. It influenced them. And it could impair their decision. Succession. Succession. People argue over who's going to succeed another individual who may have the power, the privilege, the prestige. Is something that one is inheriting. But succession, a number of people of things sharing. It is a sharing. The consequences of our actions is something that we're sharing. And if we do not learn to share, there will be consequences of our actions. But then it goes on to say, I'm going on to say, as it pertains to that which we share is in a human trait, is a certain characteristic that one has gotten from his mother or his father. And it develops a certain personality, and that is due to the environment in which he or she has grown up in, and the influence of that environment. That which is following, which is an exemplary act, one after another. Then we get the domino effect. Succession, what will follow after the fact. That which we are following is seeking after facts. Some will associate that, archaeologists will associate that with artifacts. You see that which have existed before to prove a point. Some people follow after opinions, that which we confide or hold in confidence, and then we share those opinions. That's true. That's true. There could be the succession of the action or the process, how we process things. Our thoughts, our feelings, and attitude is contingent upon that which we are following after, that which we have inherited from another. Could be the culture, the environment, your mother, your father, the culture is associated with considered to be associated with some laws, some rules, some regulations that we have inherited. It could be a tradition. And something that we have inherited. And it could be the labeling of others. Something that we have inherited, which is which is concluded to be, in certain teachings, are automatic, distorted thoughts. Yes, the arguing of power, the privilege, the prestige, heroism, position of consequences of circumstances, can inherit a piece of property. And the objective in when you inherit a piece of property, you want to protect it. So it is the protecting of one's position, one's stance on something and about possibly someone, and then that which we protect and defend, we become loyal to it. And we may not even know why we are loyal to something, and therefore we represent it as an attorney of law. Yet it may not represent you, may not be reciprocated, and you just may represent it voluntarily. Yes, without receiving any wages from that which you represent, and may not know why you represent it. And I know I'm talking in the monetary sense. The things that people seek after, power, privilege, prestige. Why should someone's time be more valued? Why should another person's time be more valued? Why should another person's life be more valued than the other person? Where do we get these things from? Those that which we are following after. Power, privilege, prestige, heroism. The new king was already old at the time of his succession. His time was up. He was in a position of power, privilege, prestige. Under the influence of heroism, he was in it too long. You know what? The birth of a child is in his her mama's stomach, and it becomes inadequate for him. So he must come out of it. So what it tells me is that you stay in something too long, it becomes inadequate for you, and it kills you. So you got to come out of it, because that's what's killing many people in society is the ability to change. I mean, to change, because resisting to change. I have to say, resisting to change. Seasons change. I was somewhere and I was looking at the toys that men make, weapons of mass destruction. Blood is not meant to be shed outside of the body. It is, it is designed to stay inside the body unless you get a puncture or an injury. But still, as one brother said, guided missiles and misguided men. But these are something that people are following after. Succession. Power, privilege, prestige, heroism. And there's no difference in what the man's or the individual's character is about. It's permeating through all forms of male, female, humans, if I may use that word, that their quest for power, privilege, and prestige, and heroism and sheroism, and takes on a form of romanticizing and fantasizing, the fantasy. judgment becomes impaired. Arguing over a position of consequences or circumstances. Succession occurs. It's a phenomenon. It's something that is phenomenal. Someone says that belief leads to faith because of the common occurrence. Says it's dealing with a country now. Succession that occurs when one state ceases to exist. A state really is a condition. Remember the condition of one's circumstances. I say you can best diagnose anyone based upon the condition of the circumstances which or she has come out of. The conditions of the circumstances cease to exist. The conditions of the circumstances in which a woman is giving birth cease to exist. It becomes inadequate. Because I say that we're dealing, one of the 5 learning disabilities that I make my case, we suffer from SDLD, a social disorder, learning disabilities, and feeling of inadequacy is one of them. Am I good enough? And when you cease to exist, and when you are seen as not existing, then you are seen as being devalued, degraded, and disrespectful. This is the things that will follow after. Then you will solicit and take illicit toxins because you have been seen to cease. You see that you do not exist. You give new meaning to Ralph Ellison book, The Invisible Man, but the invisible human being. You're non-existence. You're not worthy to exist. And then there's a case of being productive. There's a case of being against being productive rather than unproductive. You want to be productive. So you cease to exist. And when you cease, how do you cease to exist? When you lose control? When you lose control, someone else will come and govern you because you don't know how to control yourself. You cease to exist. Non-void. Then something else must come in. And that's how it is when we make our transition in life. You're no longer physical. We're no longer physically present. Something comes in and resumes and comes into existence. But the thing is that one has lost control of his or her ability to be able not only to reason with progression, lost control over his or her ability to logically reason one with another. This goes beyond what we call race, class, gender, religion, economics, and politics. That which we take for that which is laws, and when we take one's good intentions for granted. What is the state of the circumstances of one's conditions in which he or she is coming out of it? So if I'm arguing my position when it comes to position of consequence, it is dealing with the human nature. Because people are only responding due to the extent and the injury that has been done to his or her humanity. Until next time, talk to you.